Good morning, everybody. Nope. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we doing our. It's a little bit late this morning for our coffee talk. Just a little bit of late with it, but it's all good. It's Friday the 13th, 2017. So hopefully everyone has had themselves a wonderful morning. I gotta fix my camera here, of course. We have a cat that likes to walk around on my desk, so she's always moving the monitor a little bit because she wants to rub up against it. And it's, oh, there's my other daddy. Looking at the clouds going by. Beautiful morning here in Costa Rica. So yes, your loved ones in spirit, they don't want you to be sad. They want you to be happy, and it's not easy. Like you always hear the story, the saying that death is for the living, it's not for the dying, and that's what we have to try to remember every single day. Today, backtrack just 1 second. You never know what one day has in store for you for the next, and how your life is going to change, and everything that's happened in your life has led you to this point in time, whether it's good or bad. 3 years ago today is when, most of you know, who've been following me on Facebook, of course. 3 years ago today is when my partner at the time, Louis, passed away. It was later on tonight, about 7 o'clock, is when, when it would be the 3rd year anniversary. And, in 3 years' time, I always realized and always remembered, and I know from the psychic medium readings that I do, that Spirit wants you to be happy. They want you to go ahead and go on. And Louis told me that, and I told him, I said, after 18 years of being together, I said, all during the whole time, by the time you finally die, or I die, I'm going to be too old, and no one's going to want me. So, I'm not worried about finding someone else. I said, furthest from my mind. And kidding around with him, for so long too, I would be like, it took me long enough to train you. I don't want to have to train somebody else. And we would laugh at it. And he's like, "Oh, you'll find someone." It's like, I'm not worried about it, because in the 13 years time, 18 years time, we were together for all that, and 11 of those years I was a caretaker. So in that time frame, I think there's like 6 times we had to call the family. They're like, "He's not going to make it. Call the family. He's got a day or two." And then a day or two later, he's going home, and like, okay, what the heck happened? So, 3 years ago was no different. He was delusional and all, and it's like, well, let's find out what's going on. And we went ahead and ordered the spinal tap, and they were waiting for the results to come in, and they were saying his body was shutting down. There was nothing they can do, and they just wanted to see what was going on. I'm like, we've had this before where, he's going to go anytime, call the family, make your arrangements, and every single time he's come back. So, I said, I'm not signing a DNR at this point. I want to find out what's going on with him first. So, while we were waiting for the results to come in, got up in the morning, had to go home, take care of Lucky, and we had some chickens back then too. And went home, spent the night, saw him the night before, and it was kind of crazy that night. He was totally out of it. We had to have him restrained a little bit because he kept trying to pull the tubes out of him. And remember saying to him, he got mad, and he's like, "Take these off." And he was just totally out of it, grabbing for things and reaching for things. And they had the little mitts on him so he wouldn't pull out his IV or the catheter and pull on those things. And he said, "I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. What are you doing to me?" I said, "It's for your own good." He said, "I'm mad." I said, "I know you're mad." I said, "But I'm in charge. This is for your own good right now." And I looked at him, and I said, "Well, you still love me?" And he's like, "Of course I still love you." I said, "Okay. So I have to go home." I said, "I'll see you in the morning." And again, he says, "I love you." And those were the last words that I heard from him. The following morning, on October 13th, on my way to the hospital, and I was like, all right, let me go get my cappuccino Starbucks fix, and Starbucks had no electric. I'm like, okay, fine, go to Dunkin' Donuts, get something. And so I'm waiting, I'm driving around, and it was like, didn't think anything of it. The hospital had my phone number, and go ahead and finally get everything. I was like, okay, it's weird, these places don't have electricity, but the stoplights are working, and the other businesses seem to have lights, and what's going on? And it didn't dawn on me. My mind wasn't on that. It's just, get my fix, because I'm going to be at the hospital all day with him, and do this. And he was in intensive care, and went upstairs, and he was down at the end of the hall, and as I walk in, I see the doctor walking out of his room, and all these nurses and all these machines outside the door, and the doctor came over, and he's like, along with the nurse, he's like, oh, there you are, we've been trying to call you. And I'm like, oh God, what happened? And they told me that while I was on my way there, that he had seized. I had a seizure, and because I didn't have the do not resuscitate, they had to go ahead and put him on a ventilator. No regrets for any of it, because it gave us time to go ahead and say our goodbyes, and for his sister to be there to say her goodbyes. But went there, and stayed by his side the whole time, and I went ahead and had to sign the do not resuscitate. That was the second do not resuscitate order I had to sign. The first one was with my mom, and I was there with her when she passed, and then I had to go and sign it for Louis. And not the easiest thing to do. Instinct is do whatever you can, save him, keep him alive, keep going, fight it. But at that time, they said there was nothing else they can do. His body had shut down, his kidneys were failing, and you can see it through the catheter and all. I had his sister there with me, called the family, and his mom, they were trying to get her down. And, it's never easy. And she went ahead and she went home. She was with me all day long. Love you, Tonya, if you're watching this. The rest of the family was, constantly calling me and asking how I was doing, how I was handling things. 3 years later, still gets you. We kept him comfortable. He was on the ventilator. And I asked the nurses, I said, well, what should I expect? And they said, well, on the heart monitor, you'll all of a sudden just start seeing it dropping until finally it reaches 0. And the nurses were really wonderful, asking if I needed anything, and I'm sitting there and trying to figure out what to do and getting things done, and just waiting as long as I could before heading home to go ahead and take care of Lucky. And his heart rate was right around 100, 105 beats a minute, and it was constant throughout the whole day. And I saw it drop down to 90, and I was like, oh, it fluctuated. So, but it's nighttime, and he's probably just more relaxed and all, and no one's coming in and out and all this, and because even though if they're unconscious and unaware, you don't realize it, but they can still hear you. So I figured, well, that's he's just calm down. And so I'm watching, and all of a sudden it drops 70s, 60, 50, 42, 51, 46, 53, 20, and it's going all over the place. And I went and grabbed the nurse. I said, is this what you're telling me is going to happen? Is this how it's going to be? And the nurse is like, yes. If you need to call anybody, his time is really short. So I tried calling his sister Tonya, and I had no cell phone service there. And watching as it's jumping up and down, and this is all in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes, to where finally it hit 10, and then 12, and then went down to 8, 3, and then 0. And I'm like, okay, jump back up, come on. And then I realized 0 is 0. And he had me promise him before that I'd never let him die alone. I kept that promise to my mom, and I kept it to him. And 3 years later, it still gets to you. You always have a place in your heart for somebody that you've lost, even when you've gone ahead and moved on with your life, because that's what they want. For the 11 years of being a caretaker, he was constantly telling me, find someone else. I want you to be happy. Don't be upset and don't do anything stupid when it's my turn, because we knew he would probably end up going before me. So, what I'm getting at with all this is, you have the memories, you still have the feelings. And the last couple of days I'm seeing, there's a Hollywood actress, her husband died a couple of years ago, and she's getting remarried, and people are like, well, how dare you? You can't do that. And it's like, okay, hello. Death is for the living. It's not for them. They want you to be happy. So, you always, her new husband realizes he always has a place in her heart for her deceased husband. You had that life together. You don't just cut it back and say, that's it, I'm done, gone. You always have that place for them. Ed knows that as well. Love Ed dearly. The best thing that's happened to me in I don't know how long. And that's one thing we have in common. Ed lost his partner. They were together for 10 years. And then, so we had that in common when we met. But that's what your loved ones want you to do. They want you to, of course, you're going to remember them, but they want you to go ahead and move forward. Ed and I met on Halloween night. So that's what, 2 weeks away? A little bit more than 2 weeks, and we met. And everyone's like, you can't do that. How dare you? And it's like, hello? For 11 years I've mourned every single time he was in the hospital of is this it? This is it. This is it. He's going to die. He's going to die. And going on. And 24/7 being a caretaker, that when it finally does happen and you meet someone that you have so much in common with, you're not going to go, don't put it on hold and say, oh, society tells me I have to wait a year or 2 years or 5 years before I can date anybody again. It's like, really? You're going to let society and what other people think go ahead and tell you how to live your life? Your loved ones want you to go ahead and move forward. They want you to be happy. I've had Louis visit me numerous times in spirit and messages and in dreams and telling me he was happy for me. And, we know that Louis and Ed's deceased partner brought us together. Brought us here on this mission to go ahead and help others. Brought us here to Costa Rica. But everything is working out for the way that it should be. So if you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, of a family member, you grieve the way that you want to grieve and the way that you have to go ahead and grieve. But if it's a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, companion that you've lost, and you find somebody else because you have that little spark there in your heart, and you're like, ooh, I kind of like this person, but get rid of the but. Get rid of that but. You do what makes you happy. You don't worry about what society thinks. Because, most of Louis' family was like, how dare Uncle Mike do that? And how dare Michael do this? And he's disrespecting Louis. And his sister Tonya said, you have no idea what you're talking about. For 11 years, Michael put his life on hold to make sure that Louis was taken care of. For 11 years, Michael did away with the intimacy and the companionship. For 11 years, he went ahead and took care when nobody else would. And she turned around and told them all, she goes, so unless you want to go ahead and make amends for those 11 years that Michael did everything, they said, you need to just keep your mouth shut. Keep your opinions to yourself. And I love her dearly. And that's the way that you need to treat it when your loved one passes on. So I know this is going on longer and longer and longer, but it's important for you now because the veil between the two worlds is getting thinner, and it has been for a long time. And then of course on Halloween it's even thinner, where the communication is there and people are crossing over more and more. So live your life. Know that your loved ones are there in spirit, and if you want to get a message through, ask them. So I want to hear from you, and they will go ahead and come in a dream, and you'll think it's a dream, which is the easiest way that they can communicate. But you will know that they are fine, they are well, and they're happy for you. So if you want some more little insights and messages, don't forget to like our channel, like the Facebook video, share this video, because somebody is losing a loved one someplace, and they need to go ahead and realize, I'm not alone. Michael's been there, done that. And that's why my whole life has been an open book for so many to help you out. So like and share the videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so yet. It helps us to go ahead and grow and get our messages out to so many other people that are needing some help. And contact me if you want a message from your departed loved ones, if you want to connect. You can go to my website, revmichaelcarbone.com, and contact me for a message for a reading there. If you want to come over here to Costa Rica, visit costarica-retreat.com. And if you want to know more about the videos and our upcoming guests, psychics, mediums, yoga instructors, nutritionists, we have a lot of things in store for you. Go to bethelightnow.com and go ahead and sign up for updates. Follow us here on Facebook. And until later on, everyone, know that you're loved, because your departed loved ones in spirit love you and are helping you every single day. Just listen with your ears, your eyes, and your heart. And also know that God loves you, whichever God it is that you believe in. Till later on, everyone. Bye.